What is up, Gemstones? Welcome to Tuesday's Afternoon Talk with myself, Ghostdragonzw, and Sir Ryan Paul Tremblay. So I don't see anyone in chat yet, but I'm just going to start off by saying I'm having some really strange internet issues. It's also freezing cold because for the first time in forever, I laid down to take a nap and left both of my bedroom windows open. So I'm pretty cold. And hopefully it warms up and my Wi-Fi gets a little better. What's up, Blue? Thank you for coming in. I just shared everything out. So I'll just start off by saying there's going to be no video next Monday, no upload, because I forgot that my son has off on Thursday and Friday. And hey, Ron, I have my all-day doctor tomorrow. So today, like I had yesterday and today. So I'm not going to be able to do literally anything. So I got done what I could, and here we are. But you know, it's one little break, and we'll be talking more about toxic positivity, as I wanted to do a live stream Thursday or Friday. We'll just do it next week, and then we'll move from there. Did not get a YouTube notification. Yeah, you got to go in and check that your notifications are on. They're set to all, and you've got to do that so much that nobody ever remembers to do it. I hope you guys are hearing me okay, even if you're not seeing me that well. The image doesn't really matter to me. It's that you guys can hear my voice. Slow motion, Miss Pixie. I don't know why I said mix. So we're just having a regular afternoon talk today, but I did go ahead and pull a very interesting Dogman encounter that I wanted to get Ryan's thoughts on, and I did a little additional research on that encounter because it was really something special. It was something very specific that I hadn't yet heard happen, and I'm very curious about it. Listening to your listener encounter, yes, that was a really good one, and I'm not the only one who thinks, slow motion, that you may have experienced or have been experiencing for a very long time some abduction activity, whether that's extraterrestrial or the Fae, because of your proximity to the Fae people or the good folk, where you live over there in Ireland. I really would need more info. I think I put a few questions to you at the end of your encounter there. Jason, what is up? So I'm doing great. Today is my oldest sister Christy's birthday. I think she's 46 today. So just want to wish her a happy birthday, even though I know she's not listening. I don't know where Ghost went. All right, let me bring in Ryan, and then when Ghost pops back on, we'll get him on. And then I want to go through this. The encounter is only like 2 paragraphs if it's that long, but then there's something additional to it that I wanted to discuss, mainly with Ryan, because I want to see what he has to say about it. So let's bring him on. What's up, Bri?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's afternoon here. I just have like no motivation because I knew that like nothing, like I wasn't going to be able to complete anything I started this week, right? Because I'll start stuff on Monday, start stuff on Tuesday, and then by Friday it's done and ready for the next week. You know, I can't concentrate enough to write. I can't have quiet long enough to film. So it's all right. I mean, I'm reconfiguring things on the channel anyway. But it didn't occur to me until like yesterday afternoon. I was like, dang, I wasted a whole day. But I can always work on the book and of all that. Thank you, Jason. You're so sweet. Let's bring Ghost
Riley?
in. Yeah, Riley, Ron Ivy Forrest, Ron Forrest Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's bring Ghost in. I want to jump right into this encounter. I have a couple, but there's this one that I was just like, okay, I've got to ask him about this. So let's bring in. Hey, buddy.
Hello. There he is.
So I had to run the back.
That's okay. I'm like, I don't know where he went, but you know, it's cool. So without further ado, I'm going to read this to you real quick. And before you say anything, I'm going to move into one other thing that I got out of this.
Okay.
And this might actually be a popular encounter. Like, I don't know much about Dogman. Is this it? Hold on, because I have several here, but this is the one.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I was just going through. I'm like, maybe I can have a thing to discuss. And then when I saw it, I was like, Oh my God. So I'm sorry, guys. I should have. It's on one of those list sites. If you guys want to chat for a second, I'll find it.
Chat. How you doing, Ghost?
Been a fun morning. Spent them too long at the dentist.
Oh.
Apparently, I had some issues that I didn't know I had. So. Yeah. So.
But all right, I got it.
You got those dragon incisors growing in.
Yeah.
All right. So here it is. One of the first dogman sightings to take place around the Great Lakes took place in the Wisconsin city of Racine, right on the western coast of Lake Michigan and very near to the border of Illinois. A man by the name of Mark Shackelman was working as a night watchman for the St. Coletta Convent in 1936. One night, is this it or did I lose it again? Oh yeah, no, this is it. One night during his rounds, Shackelman saw a canine-looking, black-furred, and carrion-smelling creature with what he described as long claws. The dogman was kneeling and scratching at an indigenous people's burial ground near the convent, but he fled as soon as Shackelman approached to investigate. Now, he returned the next day only to find footprints and claw marks, although apparently 2 of the fingers seemed to be withered from what the night watchman could tell from the markings. Shackelman, scheduled to work 2 nights in a row, went back the next night, and once again he witnessed the creature scratching at the mound. However, this time the animal didn't run away. It stood up 6 feet tall and made eye contact with Shackelman, and then it spoke. It was only one word, though less of an actual word and more of a name. Gadara. Yep. The night watchman summoned up his courage and refused to run away. He simply maintained eye contact before praying to God, turning around and walking slowly away. The dog singly but didn't move. Mark Shackelman never saw the creature again, though he did often smell the dead meat scent. Now, my first thing was like, what kind of a name is Gadara? And my guides were like, no, that's a place. And I was like, it is? Mm-hmm. So I looked it up, and I thought it was interesting that Gadara, in some texts, Jadaris or Gadaris, was an ancient Hellenistic city in what is now Jordan, for a long-time member of the Capitalist City League, a former, I can't pronounce these words, bishopric and present Latin Catholic titular. Mm-hmm. Its ruins today located at Umpqua, a small town in the Bani Kanana department and Urbid Governorate in Jordan, near its borders with Israel and Syria. So it stood on a hill at 378 meters or 1,240 feet above sea level, overlooking the Yarmouk River Gorge and the Golan Heights and the Sea of Galilee, well visible to the north and northwest. Now, I know the Sea of Galilee from the Bible, and I saw this that said it's what is now Jordan. But I also saw that there's a place of the same name in Iran. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Either way. Have you ever heard of a dog man talking?
Not very often, no. No, mostly they make, canine noises, barking, growling, snarling. But the talking one is a very popular case. So, and I was going to interrupt you and tell you it actually means from the mountaintop. So there's got to be something to that. I don't know if maybe the dog man was telling him where he came from or maybe to look somewhere. It's really confusing. It's a very confusing tale.
That's what I was thinking, why I looked it up. And I was like, what my initial thought was, is it saying not where it came from, but maybe like this curse of being a dog man originated, however long ago in history in these places or at this place. It was crazy because I like with shadow entities, I know I come across very, very rarely where the person will say, well, the being didn't speak to me, but telepathically in my head, I heard things like, I'm not going to hurt you, but I could if I wanted to. And you have no reason to fear me. I'm just passing through, which were like thoughts that they know were telepathically put into their heads. But I just thought it was so strange. And like I said, it could have very well been a popular case. I'm just not aware of many of the cases. And then there was one more I wanted to run through before we talk about kind of whatever you whatever you want to.
Okay.
I have 10 here, but which isn't my fault. It's part of like this list. Have you ever heard? Okay, so you might know this one. There's allegedly a picture, one of the rare encounters in which someone allegedly captured a photograph of an upright canid cryptid. It was, I'll put the Ghost, I'll put the link to this in the chat, but I don't know, I think it's actually a video, so I don't know if we can post it. It was 1961, though the anonymous narrator fails to specify which month it is. It was around 3 a.m. in the Michigan town of Big Rapids, where the unknown source was up late at night at his home. He lived right across from the manufacturing plant that he worked at as a night watchman.
Oh, I know the photo you're talking about. Ooh.
Yeah, maybe we can find it where it's not in like a video form, because I'd like for the chat to see what we're talking about. The plant sat right next to the Haymarsh State Game Area, and this is where the source claims to have seen something or someone making noise by the chain link fence bordering the property. Thinking it was an intruder, the narrator goes from his work to his house to grab a gun, but when he returns outside, he instead sees a 6-foot-tall, grayish-brownish, upright canid shambling about in his driveway. Thinking quickly on his feet, the anonymous source rushes into his house to try and grab his camera. When he returned outside, the dogman was already out of his driveway and further into the dark street. However, at one point, the creature did move near a street light where the anonymous source was able to snap one of maybe 4 or 5 alleged pictures of the Michigan dogman before it ran off into the night.
So that very photo you're talking about 2 years ago, I did a video with my friend Carrick St. Laurent from Crash Course Cryptozoology. We debunked that photo. So
did you? Were you able to debunk it?
Yeah. What it is the guy that used the photo, he used the life-size stand-up from the movie Cursed, and he, cut it out with Photoshop, and he put the dog man next to the lamppost. But you can even see the base though. That's the funny thing. You can actually see the base on it. So in fact, if you watch that video with Carrick, we line it up and I tell how I debunked it. So that's one of the dogman photos that I destroyed.
Okay. Well, no, I'm glad that there are people like you out there who aren't willing to just, because like me, again, I know nothing about it. And I also don't know much about I'm pretty naive and I'm pretty trusting. So for me, like if someone seems sincere to me, they can show me anything and I'll believe them because they seem sincere. And like, why would they lie? Like, why would you lie? But I just looked at it, and now that you said it, I don't even know if I can show it because YouTube hits me with copyright strikes for putting up 10-second videos. I can actually see.
You can show it real quick. I mean, there's no problem there.
Yeah. And also it's supposed to be covered by fair use if you're reviewing it. So like criticize or not analyze it, right? For analyzation up to like 3 minutes, I believe you're allowed to show.
Yep.
So Ghost, are you looking for that or should I?
I don't remember what the picture looks like.
I'll look it up. You guys chat. I will look it up, Steven, and then I'll put it in private chat, the link, and then you're the one that knows how to put it on the thing. Okay. So if I weren't looking for it, Ryan, I wouldn't have seen that. But since you mentioned it, I did look. I can see it. What you're talking about, the base. What's up, Michigan UFO sightings and paranormal encounters?
Michigan. Yeah, it was actually just a coincidence though that I found it. I was actually looking through werewolf photos one day, and I came across the cursed werewolf, and I was looking at it. I'm like, man, that looks familiar. Where did I see this before? And of course, I've seen it from the movie. But I pulled it up, and then Carrick sent me the photo that we're talking about right now. And I was like, wait a minute. So I was looking at it, and I lined them up with Photoshop. And I'm like, oh, it fits. It fits. So I told Carrick, we got to debunk this one, brother. So we made a video about it.
I remember the video. I remember seeing the video in one of the top 10s a while ago. And I'm like, that's so fake.
It is. It's a shame, though, because like we need just one good, clear, honest photo of Dogman.
Yeah,
we don't really have anything to go off. Yeah, we really don't have anything to go off of right now. I mean, with Bigfoot, we got the Patterson Gimlin film, so for Dogman, though, we don't have anything just yet.
That Patterson Gimlin film, was that proven debunked? Because that had come up in another video we were doing, Ghost, and I remember someone was like really aggressively insisting, and like, I don't know enough about it. Ghost doesn't know enough about Bigfoot. Like, it just came up in conversation, and there was someone in there that was just like aggressively lecturing us on how like we're spreading false information. This was a long time ago because that thing has been debunked.
No,
so
it's never been debunked.
No. A guy came forward. He said that he allegedly wore the suit, but when you look at the suit that he's claiming was used, it doesn't match up at all. It does not match up.
To me, it didn't look like a suit.
No,
because I did see that. I mean, I don't remember what I was researching for, but it was something with one of my books where like that came up, and I went on like this whole side quest into that.
It's pretty funny because it took me years to realize that it was a female and not a man.
How did you not notice that? She's got the.
I just never really paid attention.
I did.
I mean, at the time when I first saw it, and just kind of, you see it so many times, it just, you just kind of, see it's like a rerun over and over again.
Yeah. Until there's a lot of weird.
It's a female, and I go, wait, no, it's not. And I stopped and went back and actually found the footage, and I was like, it is a female.
That's why we call her Patty. That should have been a dead giveaway.
I love it. Naming the Bigfoot. The reason Dogman even came up this week for me is a couple weeks ago, the week I did this stream by myself, I had just done, I think it was Listener Encounters, where a guy was talking about how, he was driving through the woods. He had to stop and change a tire. He saw an entity that he thought was a bear initially, just out of like the corner of his eye, but his instinct was telling him something else. Like his body was not reacting. Like, of course you're afraid of a bear, but there was this like primal innate fear of whatever this thing was. As he kind of scoped it out of the corner of his eye a little more, he realized it was not a bear. It was something he had never seen before. He finishes changing the tire as quickly as possible because he didn't want to just, he couldn't jump in the car and go. He had to finish what he was doing. And at that time, like there was nowhere to run. So the thing just stared at him. He finished what he was doing, left all of his tools, like got the tire on, got in, and took off. And this thing took off first on all fours and then on two legs, running like right next to his window, which at the time was for some reason on the side down. He shot it. He had a gun like on his, I guess, whatever his line of work was. He would drive through the woods a lot and run into animals, and he, he was on the road. I believe it was truckers encounters actually is what it was. So he was a trucker, long haul. And he shot at it, and he heard the thing like howl or growl as though it had been hurt. He saw blood fly. And then when he stopped and looked in his rear view, there was nothing on the ground. There was nothing anywhere. He didn't want to stop just then to go and like make sure.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
The thing off. So he comes back to the same exact spot the next day, and there was no evidence at all of any blood hitting the tree. There was nothing. I mean, he saw the blood splatter and he saw it hit the tree, and it just wasn't there. And there was no rain or anything. So he was wondering, like, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that there are some agencies that may want to cover things like this up. So maybe would go and clean up any evidence, or, you just don't know.
Right. And actually, Michigan, no, Dogman is not known by the indigenous tribes. That's a rumor that was made up by a lot of Dogman show hosts. None of the tribes actually spoke about Dogman at all. Not a single one. Not the Cherokee, not the Dene. None of them
really?
spoke about Dogman.
I know that Blue Crossroads had just asked if the word that the initial Dogman, the place we were talking about, if maybe instead of a place, it was misconstrued. Like maybe it was some sort of Native American term that, we just wouldn't know.
It could be. It very well could be. I mean, native tongue always sounds a little bit weird to other people. So, it could be. It could very well be.
I just thought it was so strange, like for it to be a Hellenistic place. And I swear, like it just rang so true to me that this would be like, this is where this whole thing started, in this place in Jordan.
Well, you could look up the city of werewolves in ancient Egypt. Ooh.
Really? Are we talking werewolves like the European werewolf scare, or like actual werewolves? Like I am convinced that there are some places in Europe where like there was one place, and I covered it on this channel like years ago, where like they real werewolf encounters where there was like this whole city that like people would go in and get ripped apart by the werewolf. And like, I was convinced at the time that it was just like a serial killer and people were just like, the werewolf did it.
Oh, you mean Jevudan, the beast of Jevudan?
Yes. Mm-hmm. That is it.
Yep.
So Blue Crossroads made an interesting point, and I did put it in there. I was just looking up something. City of...
Absolutely correct, Blue. 100%. You can see the muscles moving in her ankle and in her thigh and everything. So there's no way a costume in the 60s could be capable of that. Absolutely no way.
I just love that it's a female, because when I accidentally channeled a Bigfoot when I got lost in the woods the first time, which, by the way, guys, I might actually do. I might actually go into those woods and live stream for a few minutes or film a little bit, channeling out there over the weekend, because that's something I can do when my little guy's home. But it's when I channeled that Bigfoot by accident, the voice was so soft and so feminine and so warm. But the creature I saw in my mind's eye, because the Bigfoot was not right in front of me. It started with the voice, and I knew that I was channeling, and I thought immediately that it was spirit, but it felt different. Like spirit feels a certain way to me, demonic feels a certain way. A ghost will feel a different way. So this did not feel like spirit, but it did in a way. So I was like, okay, I'm channeling something out here. Let me see what this is. Maybe it's a fake creature, or the most beautiful, beautiful voice. I would have followed it anywhere and never stopped. But in my mind's eye, I saw the basic image of Bigfoot. There were no breasts, female anatomy. There was no real anatomy.
Interesting.
I mean, it was just, like the normal, you see the nipples and the pecs and all that, but
of course
there was no anatomy to it. So when you say she's female, and now that I think about it, that was pointed out to me at some point when I was going through that video. It's just strange to me, because from that one experience I had, and then from other people I've spoken to who have channeled Bigfoot creatures, they always say it's a feminine voice and a masculine looking being. So I always thought they all look exactly the same. It's just their energy that makes them male or female, as we call it, because they do procreate. We've heard of how many stories of baby Bigfoot, and there was that one lady who claimed she raised a Bigfoot that kept coming to her house, and whether that's real or not, there's plenty of stories of smaller Bigfoot. The Bigfoot I channel told me all about how they don't like to come here. They will never allow themselves to be kept. Humans are dangerous. They're always carrying guns through the woods. They're looking to shoot. So, and it was put to me, would you bring your children somewhere where there was a chance they were going to get shot just for being there?
Not.
Of course not. And it really like touched my soul when it said that. So we know there are babies. So I didn't think like, do they procreate like us? But now I know there's male and female, like the jinn, right? The jinn I found in my research, actually, believe me or don't, guys, but I know it to be true. They marry and they have children. Okay, so this is how they don't really create other jinn. They have other jinn. That doesn't mean they procreate the way we do, even though they probably do, because they do feed off of our sexual energy. So it would make sense that they would be having sex.
Yeah.
So I wonder. Let me get that comment off there. Hold on. There we go.
Yep, that's the photo.
That's it?
Yep, that's the one that Carrick and I debunked. Yep. You can see the base. If you look right behind the lamp pole, you can see the base of it.
Yes, that's what I was saying. I never would have noticed that if you didn't point it out.
Yep, it's unfortunate because that would have been a great photo, but there's just somebody being clever with Photoshop.
Also, Ron says that's me under the pole. Also, like, I got to admit, like, even doing what I do for a living and seeing what I've seen my entire life, when I see something demonic, or when my first instinct is not to grab a camera, even like me, like I'm like, okay, you know, I feel something coming. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to be overrun with spirit. I'm never like, let me grab my. It just doesn't occur. I don't know if they block it from occurring, but I also covered, what's up, Batmom? This elderly couple that went into the woods, and they said that they encountered a Bigfoot. And the guy, they were like paralyzed with fear, but like they could move, but they were paralyzed with fear until the male, the elderly gentleman, started reaching for his camera. And the Bigfoot told him telepathically, don't.
Yep.
And he kept reaching. And the Bigfoot said, do not reach for your camera again. And he did it again. So then they were actually paralyzed where they were no longer allowed to move until the thing ran off into the woods and was out of their sight. That one was weird because they claimed the Bigfoot communicated to them, I will see you again. And they never saw it again. I got to go turn my heater off, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay. Take your time. Oh, people are showing up. What's up, Bat Mom? Hey, and how's it going?
Hello, folks. She comes back. You want me to tell you the gin story that I talked about Wednesday night?
Did I miss that?
Yeah, I talked about one that happened last Monday.
Man,
with the guy. I mean, I actually witnessed it happen.
Yeah, Riley, when the Ottawa tribes are talking about the dogman-like creature, it's not actually the dogman. It's what's known as the Ulanga Doglala. The Cherokee believe in it too. And they're very, very specific. They call it the spirit with knife teeth, okay? And it can transform from like a bipedal canine into a zombie-like human. So that's not a dogman. That's a spirit that the indigenous tribes know of. So you can't say it's, it's dogman because we want it to be dogman. That's their belief. You got to respect their beliefs.
I think what Michigan is trying to say is that, like, in this community, that's what people are making it known as. So someone like Michigan UFO or like myself who doesn't know the difference, I would believe that spirit with knife teeth, that they meant dogman. I would believe
until you look into it, though, with the very specifics they have, how it can turn into a zombie. So that's not a dogman really trait.
Interesting.
That's terrifying if you think about it, because it can look like a human, but it's a zombie human. It's like, I don't want to run into that. I hate zombies. I have this fear of zombies that will not go away. I tried watching Night of the Living Dead to conquer my fear. Worst mistake ever, dude. I should not have done that. I was like, oh.
It shouldn't go away. Keep it. Now, my husband is one of those people that, like, we have way too much canned goods, like way too much boxed, like non-perishables. We've got the little shelter just in case anything goes down. We've got a whole bunch of wood that, like, in case we need to board up the house. And like whatever he's preparing for, I think it's civil war is his fear, but I'm not 100% sure. I think he's just saying like eventually the electric is going to go off. And like me, whenever he brings home like a case of like canned tuna, I'm like, zombie apocalypse. Like, like that's what
that would be the worst thing. That would be the worst thing for me, man, because I'm not going to make it. I'm going to be so terrified. I'll just go up on a rooftop and die.
It's funny for me though, because I've already scoped out like the few neighbors I have, like who has the nicest house. So I just go in, like throw them out, because they're not going to they're not going to know how to defend themselves. I'm not like I'm going to throw them to the zombies. Like I'll wait a couple days for them to perish on their own because they're elderly and they're not going to be able to. So I'll just go in.
That's wrong, dude.
Go over, take over their house, and I'm like, but actually my house would probably be the safest because it is made of rock and not wood.
There you
go.
So
it's almost. As far as zombies go, aside from the windows, it's impenetrable. So I guess my house would probably be the best. But Bruce across the way has a pool, so I don't know.
I wouldn't make it, man. I'd see one zombie, I'd just be like, I give up. I'm done. I'm done. I'm out. Bye.
Yeah, and I meant, after they had already succumbed to the zombies, not like I'm going to go and throw them to the zombies. Hide your elderly, hide your kids.
But what if they become zombies, though? I mean, then you got to clear out zombies from the house. I'm not helping you do that. I hope you realize that.
Oh, I'll totally do it myself. I mean,
good, because you'll be on your own.
Would you have like the right weaponry to do that? I mean, I would shoot a zombie. I would have no problem with.
I'd find guns. I would find guns. I'd get swords. I'd get Chinese stars. I'd get shurikens. I'd get grenades.
there's going to be no sensitivity. There's no emotional connection between me and my neighbors where it's going to be like, oh, that was poor old Bob. Like, no, it's going to be like Bob was a jerk who like ran his generator constantly.
You're right. Right.
Wink, wink. So, oh my gosh, Michigan UFO, you're not lying. And I'm one of them. So, Ghost, did you have something, a story or an encounter or something that you said you wanted to talk about? Because I could hear you. I just went over to turn my heater off.
Yeah, a lot of folks that was with me Wednesday night heard this. I have a smoke shop that's right straight up the street from me. You know, they sell smokes and all that stuff. Anyways, it's run by friends of my son's, who he went to school with on the west side. Anyway, so we've all gotten to know each other. Well, one of the owners always runs the place, and Monday I come back. I went and did some running. I was on my way back, and Pop wanted some good quality cigars every so often. He likes the good stuff, so I get him there, and because he actually has one of those humidored rooms that has all the good stuff. So I went in there and grabbed him a couple cigars. And on my way to the smoke shop, I'm driving down the street, and I don't know why this person caught my attention, but there's this kid walking with a hoodie on. It was a white hoodie, kind of like what I wear. That one I wear, it was all white and jeans, but you couldn't see his face. The hood up over his face. And for some reason, he caught my attention. I don't know why. So as I drove by, I was like, kind of checking him out. And I didn't think, and then I just kind of blew it off. Pulled into the smoke shop, ran in, and I'm in the smoke shop in the back. And it's glass door, so I can see the front. And I'm in there picking him out a couple cigars, and I'm fiddling around. And I turn around, and that kid in the backpack is standing at the counter with the owner. And they're talking, but I can't see his face. And the whole time he's got the hood over, and the owner is standing stiff. I thought, well, maybe he's getting robbed. I actually thought at first he was getting robbed or something was going down. So as soon as I open the door, he says, thank you. I hear a voice say, thank you, and walks away and goes out the door. Well, actually, when I came out the door, I asked if everything was okay. And the owner goes, yeah, everything's fine. And the person that was standing there goes, thank you. But I never see his face. He turns around and heads out the door. So I casually kind of rush up and go, you sure you're okay? He goes, no, I think that was a djinn. He had no face. Ooh. He said he had, where he's Muslim.
Yo.
So he goes, he had no face. You don't understand. I just came back. I went and visited family overseas. And I think I brought it with me because I've seen him a couple times on the west side. But he never says anything. And I'm like, and we're standing there talking. And I realized the kid, that person is still standing at the door. So he starts walking, and it's all front glass. Starts walking. And he stops just before the wall is. So when he walks by, you can't see him anymore. And he turns and looks in the glass. I barely saw a mouth. There was just black and a nose. And it was white as ghost. First, I thought black-eyed kid. He goes, that's, I didn't say that. He goes, he just stood there and pointed and shook. And it disappeared. I went running out the door to see where he was going. He was gone. I mean, gone.
My initial thing was I was going to ask you, like, or I was going to say, like, you probably didn't see its face because when you're being I don't want to say overtaken because you're not being possessed. When you're being, I would say, harassed by a jinn or even like a stronger type of shadow entity, which I guess would be a jinn. Normally they're harassing you, and what they'll do is like overtake a person for a minute or two to like harass you. So I was thinking that was going to go in a way of like, you were going to say like, oh, I never saw its face, because it probably could have been, or until the end of it where he disappeared, I would have said, oh, that was probably some poor, unfortunate soul who was vibrating pretty low at the moment. And then the jinn overtook them. It's very strange. I mean, I believe you 100% because stranger things have happened, but it's very strange that it would like appear in clothing and go to a.
He says jinn can come as anything as they want. They have the ability to be anything they want. It was funny because I ran out the
They're
door.
definitely here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I ran out the door and I went to chase it. I mean, it was weird because as soon as you walked by the glass, it was like you could almost see like, I want to say a mist, but it was just like fuzzy. And then I ran out the door. I go, I'll be right back. And I ran out the door and went around. As soon as I went out the door, he was gone. Well, you could only go across the street. If you go the other way, you have to cross High Street. So I would have seen him cross High Street, or he could have gone around the building and up a neighborhood street. So I ran around the corner. He wasn't walking up the neighborhood. I didn't see him go the other way. There's an alley. So I ran to the alley and looked down the alleys. No kid. I go back and this guy is shaking. He goes, I know I brought it back. I know I brought it back. He has not been in the shop since.
They're also in my book, the one I just covered yesterday, Shadow Entities, Sleep Paralysis and Beyond, the chapter on the Jinn, which would have been the next chapter of what I was reading. I think I read like 5, 6, and 7 or something like that. The also the being made of smokeless fire, there had been someone who, I don't know the exact details because I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but someone had brought up a way that could have been misconstrued of smokeless fire, but like what it actually meant was something else. But like they are attracted to areas where there's fire and where there's smoke. Right. And people think that's mainly, I mean, I lived in South Patterson most of my adult life, and South Patterson, I always tell you guys, I very endearingly, I don't mean that as a bad thing, call it little Saudi Arabia, because you can't go anywhere. Everybody's Muslim, just like Catholic church bells ring, the mosque calls on Saturday morning. You hear it throughout the neighborhood, and all the men, you know, they walk down to mosque, and all the restaurants are, you know, Middle Eastern. I've grown to really kind of, I don't want to say love the culture, because I know there's a lot wrong with that particular part of the world in our eyes, you know, here in the West. But as far as like the real Muslim culture of like loving Allah and those types of ideals and values, I grew to love it. And I loved the people. I never felt unsafe walking in the middle of the night a few blocks to go to the store, you know, 2 a.m. if I needed a cigarette. Like I never felt unsafe because I knew that the Muslim men would protect me as though I were one of their own. It was a great place to be for me. But I learned a lot about the Jinn living there. You know, I had never encountered one until I lived there. And I had never encountered one until some of the elderly men, because they had the coffee shops or the cafes that only men were allowed to go into. And this is in Patterson, New Jersey in 2013, you know, still to this day, because that's their culture. The women can't go in. And they would talk about it. As an American woman, I guess I was technically allowed and I never went in, but they would stand outside and smoke. And I would walk by and I'd be like, hey, so-and-so, hey, so-and-so. And they would get on these conversations with me about their culture and about the civilization. And we would talk about the Jinn. And after that, I started seeing them like everywhere. Now, Patterson is also a place overrun with prostitution, vagrancy, addiction. And I was always like, wow, you know, like, they're right on. So when I did the book on shadow entities, I was happy to include that chapter. And I probably could have wrote a whole book on the Jinn with just the knowledge I learned from them and then seeing them ever since. I think my first encounter was in 2014. And it was at that weird time in my life where I was high all day long, every day. Not high, like out of my mind, where like I would be like this, normal. Because eventually you get to the point with that drug where you have to do enough just to get out of bed and like be normal. But I was under the influence first. Like I never knew what was real and what wasn't. It did nothing to help my abilities like dim. It just made me look like, instead of a crazy person, it made me look like an insane drug addict. Like it didn't like, you know, I still saw the same stuff, experienced the same things and gained the same knowledge. Only it was like, oh, that's Gemma, you know, she's our resident crazy heroin addict. And so you want to hear my thoughts on what? So
what do you guys think about the Tulpa theory where, you know, everybody's thinking about all these entities and they're kind of manifesting them in a way. Ghost, you and I talked about this before, but like Dogman sightings, Bigfoot sightings, and Skinwalker and Wendigo and Jinn and Ghosts, they're all going up in number. I got to wonder if to some degree we're dealing with some kind of tulpa-like effects. I don't want to use the word tulpa exactly because that's too powerful of a word, but there's definitely some kind of manifestation going on here. What do you guys think about that?
So Riley, hold that thought. I will get to that. I just saw it now. Can you explain that again? I'm sorry. I was focusing on.
Okay.
typing.
So like a tulpa is basically essentially a thought form.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Okay. So all these sightings are going up because, you got thousands of Bigfoot sightings, thousands of Dogman sightings, Skinwalkers, Wendigos, ghosts, all this stuff. And I got to wonder if it's coming from the obsession that people have with, for lack of a better term, monsters. And since people are putting so much thought into it, that energy is going somewhere and making these things pop up left and right.
I actually covered that briefly in the video I did about tulpas, where I do believe that some of these entities, I don't believe that we're thinking them into existence, but I believe us putting that much energy towards them. So while I don't think they're tulpas, I do think that they're being drawn out into the open way more than they ever were because there's way more collective awareness, right? So like the Glimmerman, if you were to ask somebody who's just on the internet, when the Glimmerman started, they'd say, I think mine was possibly one of the first encounters in this community, because I remember giving it to MPNM before I even had my channel.
Right.
Like around that time, 2015 through like now, right? But in reality, think about the Predator movie. Like, no, someone knew something, they were out there, but what's the difference now that everybody's seeing them? Well, the ability to share that we saw them, right? With and then the collective energy moves to that. I truly think that's one of the reasons I saw the one I saw, is because I was mindful that they might be out there. And I do believe
could be it.
They see our energy, our energy is drawing them near. Like, we're thinking of them. We don't know what they can see or what they can sense. Maybe they can sense that. They say, and I covered this in the BEK book, that the more you look into the occult, the more likely you are to draw the occult towards you. What's that Nietzsche quote? You stare into the abyss stares back at you.
The longer you look into the abyss, the longer the abyss looks into you.
Yes. And they say with the BEK, until you're really aware of them, they normally, now not 100%, but they normally will not even bother you unless you're aware of what they are.
Right.
And I've come, since I wrote that book, to come to a full conclusion that the BEK do not want entry. They want the fear that that they cause. I don't believe entry is
the reason why.
Go ahead.
Right. Well, the reason why I postulate that theory, though, is because, like, with Bigfoot, okay, people say you shoot a Bigfoot, it doesn't do anything. You shoot a Dogman, it doesn't do anything. But if you look at Bigfoot, though, they're saying there was a massacre at Bluff Creek, which a massacre are people or things being killed in number. Okay. So obviously Bigfoot can be hurt. Okay. So I think people are seeing some kind of being that's not really that Bigfoot. It's something that looks like Bigfoot, but it doesn't have the flesh and blood presence that Bigfoot actually has.
Do you think it's like do you mean in a way of like a more spiritual presence than Bigfoot, whereas it's not being shown? So I wonder if that's just, it's not vibrating fully on this plane. Like, for Bigfoot to be here most of the time, what I understand is they are vibrating mostly here in the third dimension. That's why they're so real. That's why they look so tangible. It's because they are. But they don't technically have to, I don't think, which is how they disappear so quickly when we do see them, or why they look blurred sometimes. I think that's because those are the ones that are like tentatively stepping into our reality to see, like, is it safe? Oop, nope, it's not. Bye. Right?
It could be. I mean, there's,
the you know,
that are got to go with different stuff.
There's so much nuance to it too. I mean,
there is.
Experience. So Ron has a quick question. I want to cover this real quick. It's a pretty simple answer that I think many of you will understand. So Ron Ivy says, I have a question. Gemma, how do you be sure that the thing which was talking with you during a session was a Bigfoot, not some other evil entity just disguising as a Bigfoot? So one is, I can always sense the presence of evil in any entity that I communicate with, whether it's accidentally channeled or something I'm specifically searching out. They just have a different imprint on them. Number two, it helped me get home and provided me comfort, so I wasn't afraid. Not to mention, I do think it had something to do with the fact that my phone didn't die until the second I stepped out of the woods and knew where I was. I believe the Bigfoot helped in that way too. But
There you go.
the main way, I would say too, the third way is because I see all the time entities trying to present themselves as something they're not. Demons trying to present themselves as children, or, you know, a regular, very scared earthbound spirit that doesn't want me messing with it and doesn't know what I'm there to do to it or what I'm here for, presenting itself as a gigantic shadow beast. I just see the energetic imprint of a thing immediately, and then my mind goes to, okay, not demonic, not evil. This was once human, so how is it a giant shadow beast? Things like that. So because of my ability, I'm able to immediately, because of the energetic imprint, assess with 99.9% accuracy exactly what I'm looking at when. What's up, Jules, and anyone else that I missed?
Hopefully next week I'll have a skinwalker encounter to talk about. A buddy of mine contacted me here in Sierra Vista. He's a rancher outside of Phoenix. His story's pretty darn scary, man. I'm just going, ooh. I don't know if I want to go out there and look. And when he told me what happened with him, his wife, and his son, I'm going, yeah, oh boy. Oh boy. So
I wish I lived closer to you to just come out on your adventures with you. I love you too, Michigan.
I'm way too nervous about it though, because the stuff that happened to him, I'm going, oh, dude, oh, brother.
Well, definitely let us know in the beginning so that I don't like take the show on a different tangent. Like if you ever have something like that you want to immediately discuss, I mean, I'm definitely all ears.
So the cool thing about this though is they actually have pictures to go with their story. So I'm kind of going, ooh. I mean, I'm going to be reading a Skinwalker book, so you know the hairs on the back of my neck are going woo woo woo. They're pretty exciting.
Michigan UFO says the Jinn are like people, some good or some evil, some indifferent. And you know, I was typing, that is so true. And I think many people forget that. The Jinn aren't
what they want to be. They have that choice.
They aren't all evil all of the time. Mostly, some are good. It's very rare you will come across one that we would view as good, but it does happen. Just like I've heard of some glimmer men walking into houses and healing people's cancers and walking back out. Wow. They give off this negative vibe, and every once in a while you come across one. Most of the time, they're indifferent. They're tricksters. They're jokesters. They're not these evil things that are going to come. You know, we have really simplified Jinn in the West as genie is one of the main words we use. What? Like, to me, when I heard that, I was like, is that what, like, where the genie archetype came from, as like the Jinn? Really? They just like, they're tricksters. They love dogs and they love music. And I talked about Christopher Case now many times on my channel. I talked about him in book 2. I talked about him in book 3. And I just talked about him again yesterday when I was reading book 3, how I do believe he was killed by shadow entities. And I wonder if the witch that put the curse on him, you know, her interest in ancient Egyptian music, is this the old style music that draws them? Because they are drawn in by certain and specific types of music. They also, like, if you hear an indistinct humming, usually it's between the hours of 2 and 4 in the morning. But they come at any time, day or night. They prefer that time. And you hear like a random humming, you have a Jinn. What it's there for, you never know, because they do marry, like I said, which I was shocked to find out. And I actually thought it was a joke when I was told that. They marry, they procreate. They're very interested, the Jinn, in our sexual energy. I would say sexual, like deviancy, is one of the things that they're mostly blamed for. But some of them are just indifferent. Like, they're just here because it's something new to do. They've existed for millennia. They couldn't care less about us, you know. War-torn countries, I think, have a lot of Jinn. But I don't think the Jinn are causing the wars. I think they're just hanging around because they feed off of that very, very high emotional, trauma and energy.
I learned from the Jinn from that movie, The Wishmaster. That scared the crap out of me with the Jinn. I was just like, yeah, I'm never wishing for anything ever again.
I've totally seen that movie. and I can't tell you a single thing that happened in it. But I remember my mom owned every single horror movie on VHS before she owned literally, like nowadays she doesn't own them all because she stopped collecting like 15 years ago, but then on DVD.
Right.
And I always remember when I was like 13, 14, I'd be like, Mom, let me watch The Wishmaster. And we would watch it. But I couldn't tell you a thing about it. I didn't know the Jinn were in that. I'm going to have to check it out again.
It's such a great movie, though, because Robert Englund is in there. Tony Todd is in there. Kane Hodder's in there. So you got like this whole smorgasbord of all these different horror movie characters.
Well, that's also based on the Jinn in that movie is also based on lore. Because they are known to twist your wishes.
Oh boy, does he do that in that movie, man.
And he does that in the movies, and they will do that. That's the whole key, is to get the 3 wishes out of you and destroy your life.
So that's where the genie reference comes in.
Yes.
Because I didn't ever understood it. I was like, is this what we've likened it to? Yeah, I know
it's actually a messed up movie. I mean, that one girl that wishes for eternal beauty and he turns her into a mannequin. It's like, dude, come on. That's cold-hearted, bro.
See, that's what they do. They distort your wish. There are very few accounts where they've actually fulfilled wishes, supposedly in a good way.
That's why I will not wish for anything, man. If anybody says you have a wish, I'm like, no.
If they gather so many wishes, it sets them free to run free. So they have to meet a certain type. And because the idea is, after so many wishes, they try to coach that last person to wish for their freedom. And usually, because they distort their wishes so bad, that eventually along the way, somebody will give them that wish.
So I know with the Jinn, they are, they're all going to, because I was pretty upset being a Christian when I did my research into the Jinn. I was kind of pissed. I'm like, how come they get to come here and like terrorize us? And that's a whole thing of like who this
everywhere
and all this,
but just in the Middle East.
But I know that. But for me, it was like, why did how come? And I realized that it's because they're just like our, if you believe in it, day of reckoning that we're all going to receive. Whether we get it or not, I don't believe, but I do believe the Jinn do, where they have their chance to apologize to the creator or to the universe or whatever you want to call it. I'm
so glad Blue brought that up. Did you ever see the X-Files episode with the Jinn in there?
I never watched the X-Files.
Oh my God. It's so funny when he's trying to describe, Mulder's trying to describe what a Jinn is to one of these victims. He starts humming the I Dream of Jeannie scene. He actually starts da 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 da. And he's like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, but Barbara Eden never killed anybody.
Ron, that was actually one of the first questions I asked Ryan the first day we ever had him on this stream. And Ron said, are Dogman and werewolves the same? So we got 6 minutes left if you want to take us out with that. And then I'll end the stream by letting you guys know what's going on with me.
Well, in a way, they're kind of the same, I feel. I think what happened is these older civilizations, like the Europeans, the French, they were seeing dogmen running around the countryside, right? And they were so superstitious and so religious back in those days that when they saw a beast like Bigfoot or Dogman, they instantly thought it was a man or woman cursed. And that's where the term werewolf actually came from, loup-garou, which means man-wolf. And I think they're actually intertwined very, very closely. I think Dogman and werewolf are actually one and the same. I know Ghost disagrees. I can tell by the look he's giving me right now, but that's okay.
Oh my gosh. See, I'm like, guys, I'm totally losing it. I thought that you had made a distinction, but you probably made a distinction between something else I was asking you about, because we've talked about
skinwalkers and werewolves.
That's what it was. Skinwalkers, because of the cursed aspect of it. I was curious of are they one and the same? But I think that's kind of like too where it's like it depends where you are, what you call it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
absolutely.
What region you're from or what country you're from, you could call it something different. I always thought they were two separate entities, but I've always noticed so many common similarities. Like, I don't know. I just like I just go by encounters that I receive on the internet. Yeah. So for me, it's just.
There's crazy theories out there. They're saying like, a werewolf has a shorter, more human face and doesn't have a tail, whereas Dogman has a tail. The Dogman I saw didn't have a tail. So, it's like,
told recently about a dogman encounter where the person said that the dogman, she said it looked literally, the face looked exactly like her border collie.
Interesting.
And it was like a completely dog face with a human dog body. So then you have to wonder, like, just like there's all different types of human beings through inbreeding or outbreeding, is the species changing and evolving, right?
It could be. It could very well be. That's what I think's going on. I don't think there's all these different types. I think they just look different like humans do. It would make sense.
Yeah.
I believe there's different species, just like there's different species of Bigfoot and different species of this and different species of that.
The problem with that is,
I believe that there are werewolves that, yes, as crazy it sounds that a human turning into a wolf and going through the body changes, I don't think that it's as extreme as like Hollywood would put it, but I have my reasons to believe so. You know, I'm pretty sure what we saw that day at the campfire was a female werewolf. There was definitely a human soul inside that thing. I could feel it. I could feel her anguish. I could feel her sorrow. And yet I can feel her anger as the beast too. And
I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I could tell this thing was not wanting to. It was conflicted in its emotions.
But I think it only appeared that way to you because you're an energetic reader. I don't think someone who doesn't have the ability to read a being's energy that way, it probably would have seemed the same way to me. But your average person who doesn't have the extrasensory ability to read energy would not have recognized the emotion underneath. And I think that's why Ryan completely disagrees that I think you said that that's possible because they're not human. There's no humanity there, which I do have to end that too, guys. So I'm so sorry. I mean, if you guys want to continue, that's fine. But
no, that's okay.
You're all good.
All right, guys. I will see you next week. Ryan, let me know if you're bringing along encounters. That would be awesome.
I will definitely do that then, because this story, you guys don't want to miss this one, man.
Yeah,
it gave me goosebumps when he told me about it. I was like, oh. So yeah,
I'm excited. If it gave you goosebumps, I'm actually really interested then, because you're kind of like used to the community, you know.
Right, but for me to get scared, I'm kind of like, oh.
That's what I mean. It's got to be interesting. Definitely, you got to take a camera out there when you go, or if you go.
For sure.
Film some stuff for us. All right, sweetie. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
See y'all later.
I love him. Ghost, I'll talk to you in a couple minutes. Thank you. And guys, I just want to let you know that I did post in the community tab and on my Facebook that my book Gone. I thought it was going to be the BEK book, but it's actually my book Gone is being featured. It's the book of the month, the original Gone, Mysterious Disappearances Volume 1 for Beyond the Fray for October's book of the month, which was really exciting for me. I worked really hard to get there. So if you haven't picked up your copy yet, definitely go and do that. And the link is in, you can always search Gemma Jade Books for any of my books on Amazon, but the link is in my community tab right now to get it from Beyond the Fray. And if you want autographed copies, anything like that, email me, send me your encounters. And there will be no content for me on Monday because, as I said, I have my all-day doctor appointment tomorrow. My little guy's off Thursday and Friday for Rosh Hashanah. And between yesterday and today, I didn't have enough time to script, research, edit, write, upload, all that, film a video. So thank you, Blue, for doing that. Yeah, if you guys can just repost. And Edna, I did a Facebook friend request you. I don't know if you're actually on Facebook, but I saw your name pop up and I was like, okay, I'm going to friend request her. So guys, yeah, check out the video on toxic positivity if you haven't yet, because I am going to be streaming next week. I believe just me. Ghost might be there, but mainly just for me to answer your questions about it and hear your ideas about that video. That was an important video for me because it was one of the first more spiritual videos that I was bringing to you guys, see how you guys liked that content, because as you know, the pre-recordeds aren't doing so good. And I do have to make some changes and kind of bring in like what's not working, what is working, and get my act together, so to speak. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I will see you on Friday night for Live Intuitive Oracle. We'll still be doing that same time, same place. And I think Miss Pixie is this Thursday. Not sure. I won't know that until tomorrow night, but I think so. So I think I have Gemma Jade Facebook as like a page that I never did anything with. If you just search Ron Gemma Jade, you'll see my picture. It's like a picture of me looking through some blinds with like the light on my face. That is my actual page where I post everything. I did have a fan page for the channel, but it really didn't go anywhere and I didn't have the time to upkeep it. So if you click on the fan page, you're not going to get anything from me. At least not right now until I get someone help me go through like all my social medias and kind of blend them. If you just look Gemma Jade, you'll see me there and you can just request me that way. Have a great week, guys. I'll see you on Friday night.